Hello friends, this is Brad Apple. I hope everyone's doing well out there. I wanted to share a story with you today about Michael Hedges. Michael Hedges was a fantastic guitar player, as many of you know. He played in alternate tunings and he did the tapping and slapping of the strings, plucking of the strings, tapping at the same time. And it would sound like multiple guitar players were playing, but it was just the one man, Michael Hedges. The first time I really heard Michael was back years ago. One of my routines on Sunday, after I'd worked all week and had Saturday off, and then Sunday I would usually go to the Hastings music store. Remember Hastings? You know, you used to go in stores and buy CDs and books and all that kind of stuff. Well, I went in there and I bought a sampler CD from Windham Records. And Michael Hedges, I think, was the first track on that CD. And it was a tune he did called Aerial Boundaries. Absolutely amazing song. And like I say, when I first heard it, I didn't realize it was just one guitar. I thought it was overdubs of different guitars, you know, and I was just amazed when I finally figured out that that was just one man, one guitar. You know, Michael Hedges getting all that music out of that guitar. It was amazing. But one of the things that I read on the liner notes of that CD was that, you know, Will Ackerman was the guy that co-founded Windham Records back in the late 70s, I believe. And one of the things it said in the liner notes was that Will Ackerman actually saw Michael play at a club out in California. And he wanted Michael signed so bad to his record company, Windham Records. I guess he wanted to get Michael before somebody else did. That in this club that night, Will Ackerman scribbled down as much of the Windham record contract that he could remember on a napkin. And he presented it to Michael Hedges, you know, the offer to be on Windham Records. And Michael signed a napkin for a contract with Will Ackerman that night. I'm sure he probably signed the real contract later on, but Will Ackerman wanted to get Michael Hedges on the Windham Records really bad, so he scribbled out what he could remember of that contract and had Michael sign it that night. A couple of years back, I had an opportunity to do a phone interview with Michael Manring. He was also on Windham Records and a partner to a lot of the stuff that Michael Hedges did. The two of them played a lot together. And I did get to ask him about that story of Michael Hedges signing the napkin for a record contract. And I did get his answer. He said, and I quote here, this is what Michael Manring said. He said, "That's absolutely true. Yeah, the club was called the New Varsity, and it was in Palo Alto, California, out here. Michael was there for the summer going to Stanford University because Stanford at the time had one of the most important electronic music programs in the world. Michael was very into that world. It was kind of his focus, actually, at the time. And he was out here for the summer studying at Stanford, but trying to make a little bit of money at the same time by playing mostly cover tunes at bars. And the New Varsity was the place to do that in those days. And it was really just a great little place. They had a movie theater, and I think they had music every night out in the courtyard. And this being California, the courtyard was open most of the year. It was just a great place. They had a little coffee shop in there, and it was fantastic. And Michael played there, and Will heard him play and immediately signed him with the only piece of paper he had available, which was a napkin. And then Michael came back to Baltimore to finish up at Peabody, and that's when I met him, and he had his contract already. He said, "I've got this deal going with Windham and I want you to help me make these demos so that we can finish up." And Michael Manring goes on to say, he said, "And we used to play at the New Varsity. Michael had a gig there, I think once a week. I think it was Wednesday for years. And that's where we premiered so much of the music. So I thought that was a really neat story that some of you have probably heard, but maybe some of you hadn't heard that story about how Michael Hedges got signed to Windham Hill Records. And I miss Windham Hill Records. They turned out a lot of great music. Like I say, Michael Manring, he turned out great music on there with Michael Hedges. And he also was a part of a group called Montreux with Mike Marshall, Daryl Anger, Barbara Higbee, and himself. But that's probably a subject for another video. I could go on and talk about them. But I just wanted to share that little story with you about Michael Hedges. And again, I thank all of you for watching the channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe and feel free to share it out there with your buddies on social media and let them know what's going on. So until next time, I look forward to talking to you then. Much obliged to you.